discard your pile agenda?
No, that's mean.
That's it. That's what you're running. Now, I'm thinking that I could, at least if you stole that three-pointer, that archive memory, then a punitive. Double punitive, right? No. Just out there and made money for a turn.
Could happen. I trashed it though. Trashed for punitive too. Was that or two pieces of ice?
I had a few.
Well, so it goes.
Oh.
Until we get steel eye or whatever it's called. Steeled. It's the new Anarch.
I had 3 of them.
The Anarch replacement for Plastreet.
Approaching this, are you resing?
It's really interesting. It's 1 credit.
I'm approaching. Are
It's
you
2
resing?
influence.
It bypasses it, but it's in. I don't encounter
And
it.
it is draw 3 cards.
I don't encounter it.
And the second part of the text is if it is trashed,
I mean, otherwise I would just.
while
You have to res it.
from meat or net damage, draw 3 cards.
While it's in your hand?
So I see.
Right, so that makes the, so you can discard it, but you choose which card you just, no, friend.
Hey, this is the 4th game.
If he doesn't res that, I just have to get through.
You've already seen the deck, so I'm going to skip the mulligan phase as per comments on previous videos.
It's up to you whether you want it.
Thanks for that.
No,
Yeah.
the inside job happens on the run, right? You did not encounter that ice in my
I very much enjoy playing with a local group. I've been playing online for a while. I've been hoping to get some online play, but it's slowed down somewhat.
Is it worth it to me to have this ice
So that may not be possible for a while, at least.
The answer is
I hope the new microphone is clearer than the old one, less feedback. It's USB based, so I hope may still get some background noise, but not as much electrical noise. So
This will be interesting.
it's Chaos Theory versus NBN.
I can do one on one. Bring it, son.
all right.
So that was 3
Okay.
Yep. Anyway, so I have a bit of an advantage on the deck. I know how it works, and I am playing the control faction, NBN. So I start out with the Sweep Sweep for money, 2 ice over HQ and R&D.
That's it.
I learned my harsh lesson in the first game with this deck, or second game, I suppose. First round, at least, was very painful. So don't make any mistakes. NBN isn't my favorite faction. I'm still not great with it, and I make suboptimal plays frequently, so forgive me for not being the best NBN player. It's still fun to play. It's fun thinking you have total control of the board, but you really don't. Runner runs R&D, sees a Viper. Viper's trace is strong. I'm happy to eat up a click early in the game to slow him down. I know the composition of his deck somewhat, so I'm hoping to get a hold of my targeted marketing. So I'm happy to eat up his clicks. I use both trace to make him lose the click and end the run. Viper is one of those ice. It's great in NBN, and it rarely sees play even in faction. There's just better ice in HB. It's also one of the. It's one of a couple of 4 strength, 2 subroutine ice that is res to relatively. You got some advantages there. This deck has a quirk to it. I really like playing against it. I think it's a really cool design, and it's a playstyle that could continue to get better. That being said, targeted marketing is a brutal card if you know the deck that you're up against. So much so that it makes me a little uncomfortable to play it. Here I go slapping it down. Targeted marketing, test run. I know he's going to test run everything because his deck has 3 programs, 1 Oracle May, and the rest is events. So I know he has to play test run to get his programs out, which means I can cripple him with a single play. It makes me a little uncomfortable because it encourages scouting, I think, somewhat. And he reveals a roto turret. I think it encourages scouting somewhat. It punishes similar decks, certainly what is known as the deck, the Andromeda, Data Suckers, Fixed Breaker, can be punished quite effectively. It's a little bit difficult to play. You have to pick cards that are essential and that have to be played more than once. This deck can abuse reinstalling breakers with Will-o'-the-Wisp. I happen to be abusing Test Run because I know he needs it. So here he goes. He test runs Torch, and he's willing to let me have the 10 credits because he needs Torch. I could target Torch instead, but I believe I have basically, well, I have 2 sentries and a code gate on the board, so picking a single breaker doesn't help in this case. But in any case, though, Viper's very sad getting broken for 2 credits. It gives you just such a tremendous economic advantage over your opponent. There's really nothing like it. A single card. It's very funny playing as runner to hit a point in the game where you really feel like you have no alternative but to take a bad solution, because you can't get rid of currents without scoring an agenda or playing another current. And if you happen to not be playing any currents, frankly, there's not any great currents as of yet, since we're only through the source as of me recording the commentary. The game is through all that remains. So I score an Astra script I had in hand. I'm up 13 credits. I've got a targeted marketing that will target his 2 other breakers. I'm in a really good spot. I install more ice, forcing him to really play test run again. He plays Eureka. I am not convinced by Eureka. I think it, even in this deck where it performs perfectly, it's still lackluster. You get the full effect out of it. If it wasn't cost 3, if it wasn't a double, if it wasn't Shaper only, one of those. There's just so few ice for which it's worth it, and it's so situational. It works great with Test Run, but I think Scavenge is a better card to combo with. So I'm sitting on 2 Beals in hand. I really would prefer another Astro, but whatever. This deck is really cool because you get a really consistent Oracle May. You get credits and events. I think it's a consistent Shaper deck. I think Shaper's a little weak at this time. So, whatever. And the many times I played against this deck, I've never seen Oracle May misfire. There's a tiny chance that it will happen. But once Oracle May is on the board, you only have 2 breakers, I guess, left, and he may very well have a breaker left in his grip. Well, maybe not. He'd probably install it if he did. He wants to avoid that targeted marketing. But yeah, like I was saying, scouting isn't great, especially in a large tournament. I I guess it really depends on your play shop. If you're playing casually, if you're mixing up your decks a lot, I tend to play decks that benefit from a surprise. So I would not be super happy about being scouted out, to be frank. With my corp decks, I think to a larger extent, runner decks are forced to be more consistent. So who knows? Maybe it's not so much of an issue. It certainly is an expert level card, if not requires you to cheat a little bit with scouting or predicting a deck, predicting influence, and so on.
2 and 3 lucky finds. Turn it in. This is flip 2.
I've tinkered around with more than one double deck. The addition of more doubles doesn't help. They cost a lot of influence, they eat up a lot of clicks, and their benefit isn't great. I think the best ones are, and I never advance a Beal. I think the best ones are the ones that give you money, like Queen's Gambit.
Look at that.
I was a little bit sad that the spoiled card from Order and Chaos was 4 clicks instead of a double, but I would have made Starlight Crusade almost playable, maybe. That card's just bad. Just bad. One of my online communities, there was a challenge to play a regional and win with Starlight Crusade, just to prove that the card wasn't terrible, but I think it really is terrible. It's just a dead draw. So I've had luck with agendas. This time I top deck, or I guess I drew an Astroscript last turn, top decked it. So now I Astro Chain it in, and I'm up. I've got another 3-2 that I can score next turn. I pretty much have the game in the bag. And I'm sitting on 14 credits.
Test run?
And the runner's feeling the pressure. Test run comes out. I get 20 credits. Here I've got a bunch of money. I've got a bunch of unrezzed ice. I'm NBN. I've got, I believe, 1 agenda in HQ. Here's where I'm not a great NBN player. A much better player would count their credits better. I sort of count out my trace as though I'm sitting on an NAPD in my hand. I'm not great at counting out the credits for res, costs, and breaking, and how many credits the runner has versus how many I have to boost the trace by. I'm just not very good at that.
You can't do that unless you're installing something.
I tend to rely on blind luck rather than skill, I guess. But whatever. It makes for a fun game, at least. So he's got Garrote and he's got Torch out. Those are both great breakers. Garrot's probably the most efficient sentry breaker on its own. Torch is certainly the most efficient code gate decoder. So I res Caduceus, even though I'm not getting my money back for it. And he breaks, and I res a Draco. Here I put power counters on it in order to make him spend a particular number to boost the strength with Garrote. Here I'm kind of trying to make him think I have a particular number and maybe take the tag and end the run instead. I don't think that was super smart. I put 6 strength on it.
Phase 2, tag and in the run.
Yeah. It's not going to keep him out. I don't think he's going to be spooked by it, especially not in NBN. So that was probably just a waste of money, but whatever. I'm still sitting on 15 credits, and I only need 2 to win next turn, so I guess I tried to make it interesting.
And it's 2 for you.
For Century Century. Right? And then barrier is another refractor. 1 to go into access 2 cards.
This particular NBN deck relies more on control than good luck or seeking out AstroScript.
What click are you on?
And I was able to get him to choose to not boost, or not break. And I boosted by 2. I should have boosted it by more to make it look less appetizing, but whatever.
Ring tag in the round.
So I boosted the trace to get through. I guess since I boosted it to 4, he saved 1 credit on that encounter. No, yeah. That's weird. Alright, so he runs R&D, looking for agendas. I snoop his grip. I see 2 levies.
And then it's a trace. I get to place counter on it. At any time I can spend a
He doesn't have enough credits to break it outright, so I'm gonna trace him.
Trash a card in your grip.
Place a power counter on. I don't care about what he's got, because I've got the game in the bag anyway. Even if he top decks an agenda, I'm fine.
You want to break?
All in all, I think this game is... well, this and the previous NBN game that I uploaded are pretty descriptive of NBN. Well, at least the way I play it. Either it works really well and everything just kind of falls into place and AstroScript lends itself to AstroScript, and the runner kind of stalls out and can't keep up. Or the runner grabs all 3 of your AstroScript and you're kind of hosed. That's just kind of my experience with NBN. I think probably a lot of long-term NBN players feel similarly, but
I'll leave it at just there.
maybe that's just leaning on AstroScript train too hard. Any sort of janky combo like that isn't going to work for you each time. It's better to have cards that work in any position. So the runner debates and debates and debates about that trace. The trace isn't that scary, really. Snoop looks scary. Basically, it lets you pick out cards for Will-O-the-Wisp. I never get to the point where I even get close to setting that up, though. So, all is for naught. This deck doesn't perform what it's supposed to. He doesn't see an agenda. I've got a 3-2 in hand, so that's game then. So all in all, not a terribly interesting NBN game. The only interesting thing about this game is targeted marketing, I suppose. But that's not really that interesting because I already knew what the deck was because he brought it last week. I don't know.
Look, I lost that game.
Thanks for the game, Steven. Enjoyed it. Hope you all enjoy the upload. It's a quick one, but you know. I should upload the last 3 games this week. I'm sorry for the delay over Christmas, but that was life. So thanks, and look forward to another tournament. After I'm finished with this one, I should see if I can record another one. Anyway, thanks.
That's how I get the breakers out. When you don't draw them, and you don't draw your Eurekas. My hope was I could hit